Chapter 3. Preparation. There was a lot to get in order if I was going to leave my home for a few months. I gave myself several weeks to get everything done. Quitting my job, moving out of the room I was renting, obtaining the necessary gear, practicing new skills, researching, putting on weight, finding a place to store my belongings, along with a number of other small details. It was overwhelming, and I was doubting myself so often throughout the process, especially once I had to start actually telling people what I was planning on doing. It was hard because at times I didn't even know if I really believed in myself. After all, this was a huge undertaking, and without a doubt, the biggest thing I had planned for at this point in my life. For the most part, the friends and family I let in on my plans were supportive, which boosted my confidence. There were, of course, others that weren't so keen on the idea, but I'd already made up my mind, and I don't think anything would have stopped me at that point. Not even being anywhere remotely close to an outdoorsman, I started researching and learning about the gear that I was buying, consisting of a backpack, sleeping mat, sleeping bag, trekking poles, waterproof storage, battery packs to charge electronics, and a carefully selected wardrobe. Carefully selected because I needed to keep my pack as light as possible while still being ready for a variety of weather. I needed to learn how to choose a camping spot and what kinds of foods I would need to get along the way. Once I learned how to use my basic sleeping setup, I began sleeping outside to start getting used to spending copious amounts of time outdoors. After a few nights of sleeping in my backyard, I drove an hour out of town to Butler State Fishing Lake. I parked my car, hiked a couple of miles away, and pitched my tent off the side of the road. It was a scary experience, especially since an animal stumbled across my campsite in the middle of the night and growled at me. But it helped me get an idea of what I was in for, and I figured the sooner I could get used to it, the better. I was also walking every day and upping the number of miles slowly so I'd be able to start walking a higher amount of miles per day. There was what felt like an endless list of things I needed to figure out in such a short amount of time, but I stuck to it, one small step at a time. Without knowing it at the time, my approach to those individual preparations were helping build a mentality that would be crucial on the walk itself. The morning that my brother dropped me off at the airport is one that I'll never forget. In fact, that entire day is such a vivid memory. I was experiencing such a complex mixture of emotions, ranging from overwhelming excitement to almost paralyzing fear. The last few days before my flight, loved ones reminded me that I was in no way obligated to do this. It wasn't in a discouraging way, but an encouraging one. They wanted me to know that I wasn't a failure if I didn't do the walk, and I needed to hear that. Nevertheless, it was too late in my head, and I was set on completing my goal. Getting on that plane was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Of the entire walking experience, one of the greatest lessons I learned was that oftentimes the most difficult part of doing anything is simply taking that first step. It's a mental battle, and taking that first step towards something is very revealing of a person's inner strength. I was about to find out about my own.